Cheese. This just fell from the heavens. I thought I'd share. I kind of don't love that. Yeah. It's kind of weird though, I don't know if you can tell, but like the actual like squishy thing that's in here doesn't fill this entirely. Like there's a lot of excess, so it's kind of interesting. I don't know if it was always like that or if it just the inside's deteriorated. I don't know, but I love it. I love it so much. The only thing that's making this object not a square is the holes. That's what makes it cheese. Holes make cheese cheese. My association with cheese is always linked to camp, because one time in camp we had a music class, and I remember that a group of people in that music class, because there was always usually in most of the classes there was always like a group project, because it was like in the name of like building like a teamwork ethic or whatever. And in the music class you had to, like, your group essentially had to create a song like off a subject or like a material or something, like something you liked. And this group chose pizza because, you know, when you're young, that's all you have. It's just pizza. And I remember the song because it sled. It sled. The tickets sold out. It was crazy. And the rhyme, they basically used different cheeses in the song, and it was talking about the superiority of one cheese over another, and it went provolone cheddar, mozzarella's better, pizza you're my number one, banger. And I remember it, even though, and I always associate cheese with that, and I remember it even though I wasn't actually in that group. I don't know if I was supposed to be. I don't think I was. I think it was like a year above me at that time. But it was a sick song. But that camp was kind of fun. It was interesting. Like, it was a very large complex that the camp took place at. It was like a mega church complex, essentially. And it had a lot of different like classes you could choose from. I remember skipping a lot of a lot of the classes because I didn't really want to be there, but I was there anyway, so I did the one thing that I actually really like doing, which is exploring spaces. And I remember taking photography class. I planned it out, okay? I planned it out. I remember taking photography class, and because I knew that in that class, because I had I had confidants that had been to this camp before, so I like kind of understood a lot of the classes. And one of the classes, which was photography, I knew had assignments that you would do outside of class. So I decided that I was going to be in photography. I chose photography and I put it on my schedule. Also, this was the closest thing I've ever had to like a public school experience because I was homeschooled my whole life. And so it was really interesting. But there's a dog behind you guys right now, and he is vigorously sniffing this table. Buddy, what are you doing? I don't know what he's doing. He's so cute. I remember, you can probably hear him. Don't do it. No. Hey, Kobe. No. He's not supposed to be on the couch. Kobe, don't do it. Don't do it, Kobe. Kobe, this is gonna go in the bloopers. Or potentially not. I don't know. Would you like that? I'm just pretending there's like not a dog. Oh my god. Hi. Anyway. And I remember taking the photography class and saying to myself, okay, I know that I don't want to be here, but I have to make do with what I have to do. So I'm going to take the photography class. I'm going to use it as a scapegoat for my plan. So essentially what I did is I took my digital Kodak camera from 2008 that we had to have for the class. We had to have our own cameras. And I would walk around the building and just like explore every nook and cranny. And and if I ever got stopped by staff, I would just say I'm working on my assignment. And it worked beautifully, like a charm. Worked like a charm. And it was so like cool because I also got to like look in on my all my other like friends, I guess, or like people that I knew that were there. And it was kind of funny, like watching them actually be in the classes, and yeah, it was an interesting experience, but it was definitely kind of crazy. I think it kind of reaffirmed my decision at the time, because that was probably like when I was like 12 or 13. It reaffirmed my decision of like wanting to be homeschooled, because it's like, I don't want to have to deal with these people. I don't want to do it. Yeah, I think I would have done the same thing, probably tried to find every conceivable way to get out of classes, only because when I think for me, like when learning is put into a I guess like a classroom environment, or when it's put into like group learning, I think it's just hard for me to yeah, I think it's hard for me to be on a team. It's really hard. It's really hard for me to be a team player, I think, in a lot of ways. So yeah, I don't know. But that was definitely an interesting camp experience. It was cool too because the complex was so big. Like my previous camp experience, I wasn't able to do that because it was such a small camp and there weren't like enough kids that I could kind of like blend into the like masses essentially. But with this camp, there was just so many kids and so many groups. Like I remember we always would have lunch outside and there was always ice cream sandwiches, which was phenomenal. But we would go outside and like I'd go in my corner and eat my ice cream sandwich and watch everybody. But I remember I would always hang back like intentionally, like when we all got called back in, because people would just like crowd through the door and it was like so crazy. And I remember one time like literally a kid got like thrown to the ground essentially and like got trampled on, which was crazy. And I'm pretty sure that their arm got sprained or something like happened. And yeah, it was again reaffirmed my desire to not have to go to public school. I was like, I don't want to have to deal with all these people that are crazy. But it was vibes. Looks very cheesy here. But yeah, I was definitely a very, very reserved child. Which had its benefits and its drawbacks, I think. But looking back at it now helps me better understand, I think, how to move forward in a lot of ways. Remember at the other camp, the one that was smaller, that one I'm pretty sure I actually didn't have anyone I knew that was there. But it was a smaller camp, and I remember one of the teachers, like, essentially, like, trying to hang out with me, not in a creepy way, but, like, she was just, like, I think she felt bad that I was kind of, like, I essentially was excluding myself from everybody else intentionally, and she was trying to like help me be more integrated, I guess, which was nice of her. I mean, that's kind of maybe a part of their job. I don't really know. Technically, I think camp administrators and staff on camp is kind of, they're just kind of making sure we don't die, but or get injured so that the camp doesn't get sued. But I remember her like sitting with me at lunch a lot, which I, as a child, I kind of was, I kind of like was like, didn't really have an appreciation for people doing that. So I wasn't mean to her, but I definitely wasn't like giving her anything. And I think it was beginning to kind of like exasperate her, to be honest. Oh my gosh, I kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, I do remember. And this poor woman, because I think she was kind of like, she was probably in her late 20s, probably. And I just wasn't giving her anything, even though she was like trying to converse with me and she was just sitting with me. And like, I remember it was not a good time. I don't know why I want to think about it. It doesn't make me feel great. Oh no. I don't know. But that is life sometimes. But I never even had the like outdoors like camping experience. I really only ever did like inside like activity camps essentially. I remember the smaller camp, one of the things I remember is, I don't even know what it was for, but literally just like one activity was like all of us, like we watched one of the staff members like smash a watermelon, and it was weird. It was actually really weird. Both of these camps also were, they were, I don't know if they were specifically religious, but they were both in churches, and I think they were both run by the churches, which is a little interesting. It's just a little, that's not great. But it was still pretty cool. Again, like I think I tried to make it something I enjoyed, especially at the bigger camp. And it was cool, like that camp, I'm pretty sure literally the complex had about like 3 auditoriums, and it was just like crazy. But again, it was big enough that I could just kind of like slip through the cracks and like blend into groups and stuff, and like go from room to room that was just like empty and vacant, and just kind of like wander around and like find things. It was just cool. I'm pretty sure I tried looking for the roof access because I remember, was that at that building? I think that was at a different building. I did find the roof access to the church that I grew up going to, and I was on that roof every Sunday, and it was so much fun, and I got in trouble for it, very much so. But it was so nice because it like overlooked like the highway, and it was like, it's like windy. It was so nice up there. But they could definitely, like, when I went up there, they could hear me, like, walking around while service was going on. But it was just so nice. I remember that building. That was, like, I think the building that love for, like, exploring buildings came from. Because that was also a pretty decently sized building. It was actually a concert venue. And it was a gross, grungy, dirty building, but it was fun to explore because there was like a lot of hidden stuff. Like there was an access to go under the stage that I liked to crawl under and hide. It was fun. And then there were like the green rooms in the back, and of course the roof access, which again we did get in trouble for because I eventually ended up taking my friends up there. And they also got in trouble, which was unfortunate. But I had a lot of fun. And I'm pretty sure I still went up on the roof even after that. But I think I grew smarter. I grew smarter with the situation. Because I think I always went after, like, the service. So, like, when the mingling, essentially, the mingling was happening, nobody could like hear you. So I waited until the service was over, and then I waited for them, like people started like conversing and stuff. So I would go up there and nobody could hear me, and it was so fun. But I don't think I ever found the roof access at that camp, the bigger camp. But like the auditoriums, like when there wasn't any classes in there, were like crazy because they were like these mega auditoriums that had like high up like balcony seats essentially. And I like going up there and like watching, and just it was cool. It was a really cool building to explore. But think that's kind of something that I've wanted to do, is explore more places, especially like abandoned locations. I always found that really fun to like observe on YouTube and stuff. I just like looking. I like looking. This is actually what Velveeta looks like. Minus the holes. Actually, Velveeta is further away from cheese than this. Than this squishy cheese. Than this squish ball synthetic cheese. Because Velveeta doesn't have the holes. And we all know the holes are what make cheese cheese. I feel like it is a part of the magic of being like a child, because like, you know, I'm an adult now, but like I still have like, you know, like when you were younger and you'd like run around the stores like with your friends, like when you were small and short and fast. Like speedy little elves, like you remember that? And it was like such an adrenaline rush. Like that's what I like feeling like. And when I'm exploring buildings like on my own and I'm just like kind of observing and looking and blending in, it feels like I'm like a spy, and I like that. Like I remember, you know, like I feel like I also just had this ability when I was younger to like weave through like crowds really easily, like again because I was shorter and I was faster, and like, and I was like smaller, so I could like slip through people like easy, like in an easier fashion. And I remember doing that like intentionally, like when I was growing up in that same church that I went on the roof. It was like, I remember sometimes instead of going on the roof, I would wait for the mingling to start so I could just like go through crowds. And it was so fun. And like, I don't know. I remember that. It's a fond action memory. But yeah, I think like when I die, I think that's probably one of the places that I could potentially, if I were to become a ghost, I would probably haunt that place. But it would be weird because I know that building has been renovated now. So I would like be one of those ghosts that's like trapped in the past layout. Which would be kind of crazy, but it definitely is probably one of the places I would go haunt, because like I spent so much time there. Or at least the time that I did spend there, weirdly, I enjoyed. Because, again, like, I made it my own. I made it something that I could enjoy. I wish it smelled like Velveeta. It doesn't. It doesn't. I know you just asked, and it doesn't. Yeah, sorry about that. I think it would be cool to do like an ASMR where you're like, I guess that's just what a lot of ASMR is. But it's like talking about like a bizarre, like random subject, but like it's kind of vague. Like you're okay, let me explain. Okay, wait. It's like, you know, you have like a conversation, like an ASMR, like you can ask questions and obviously you're not getting an answer. Except for those videos, I've seen those videos. Those videos are so cool where they do the ASMR, but like they're the person that's basically taking those ASMR videos is reworking them and putting clips of them actually interacting with the ASMR. Those are hilarious, and I do watch those, and I think they're very funny. Oh my gosh. And it's like so exaggerated, but I think that's really funny. But like making a cool dialogue, even making like a video where it's like scripted for somebody to go in and then do that, that would be really fun. Maybe I'll do that. That would be cool. Sorry, now I'm thinking about it. Because like it would be fun to write like a script of like like you could prompt somebody and then they would write off your script. I like the collaboration in that. I don't like teamwork. I like collaboration though. Teamwork, that means there's too many people. there's too many people involved. Oh, I don't know. It's weird though, because like I've had jobs before where teamwork is required and I've done pretty well. I think it's just easier for me to feel less of my energy is put towards caring about people and more of it can be put towards like if I'm working on something by myself, it's easier for me to actually use my energy in creating it rather than creating something with a team and also being worried about the people, because inevitably I will. I think that's more the problem. It's my inability to manage that in an effective manner. Wee. Okay, guys, this has been 27 minutes of my life, and my hands are tired. But thanks for coming along on this journey. This guy, man. Hey, this guy? It's pretty cool. Jeez, bro. Wonder if I don't know.